Welcome to the Q0 Startup Simulator, powered by Glacier Peak. I'm Martha Rush, and I've been teaching economics, entrepreneurship, psychology, government, and history at Mount Zion High School in Minnesota since 1997. I'm currently also Chief Educator in Residence for Quarter Zero and author of the Q0 Handbook for Young Founders. I love seeing my students engaged and motivated by pursuing their own entrepreneurial ventures. And I hope this simulator will make this process more accessible to more students in the US and around the globe. In this short video, I'm going to give you a quick overview of how to engage your students with the new Startup Sim. If you have more questions, you can always contact me, martha@quarterzero.com, or Glacier Peak founder Darren Hahn, darren@glacierpeak.io. So let's get started. When you log into the Startup Sim as a teacher, you will see these options. Here's a hint. In the simulator, cohort means class, and each student team in your class should create a venture. You'll click on New Cohort and give the class a name like Entrepreneurship First Hour. Then click Create, and you'll arrive at this course dashboard where you'll see an invite code. Here's a pro tip. If your students are using the simulator in teams, give this invite code to the team captains, or just one member of each team at first. They can go in, use the code to join the cohort, and start a new venture. Once they have started your class ventures, give the other students the invite code. Then when they join, they'll have the option to join an existing venture. They only have to go through that process once. If each student is playing alone, then they can each start their own venture. It's really up to you. As the teacher, you'll have some extra features. You can also join a cohort or class from the course dashboard by clicking Play Game. Before we move on and look at the steps in the simulator from a student perspective, look at the other information available on the teacher dashboard. This is where you'll be able to access your students' submissions, their MVPs, their Kickstart canvases, which are their business plans, and if we scroll down, we can see their pitch submissions. You'll also see a list of students who are enrolled in the cohort and the teams they've created. Okay, let's see what's involved in the simulator. We're going to click Play Game to play as a student. First, each student will have to create a profile. Students will put in their name, select their interests, and describe their personality. They can also click on the avatar and pick the one that best represents them. You can see the profile I created for myself. Once I click Create, I'll also have to name my venture. I'm going to call it Martha's Team. Notice that on this page, I have the invite code for my team. When I click Start, we'll go to the overview page. This is where things really get started. Here you can see there are 4 major steps following key steps in the lean startup process: problem discovery, solution design and validation, the Kickstart canvas, and pitch your venture. Students will need to follow the steps in order, from interviewing customers and developing a minimum viable product, to sketching out their visions for a business and building a slide deck to pitch their ideas. In steps 2, 3, and 4, each team will have a deliverable to submit for your review, and the game will pause until you provide feedback. So what's involved in each of these steps? In problem discovery, students will interview fictional characters to surface problems. The simulator provides them with open-ended questions, follow-up questions, and good interviewing etiquette, so they have practice for real-world interviewing. Encourage each student to interview 2 or 3 people, or encourage the teams to interview all the characters. Once they've conducted interviews, they will move on to reading research articles from a database. They have to complete each of these steps, step by step, in order to move on. As part of problem discovery, each team will choose one problem they're interested in, write a problem statement, validate the problem with more interviews, create a customer prototype, and conduct a market survey. The students are guided through these steps with instructions on each page. You can also explain the steps using the Quarter Zero Handbook, which explains each part of the lean startup process in more detail in student-friendly language. Here's a look at phase 2, the solution design and validation phase. Once students have ideated on an MVP, the simulator asks them to put their ideas into words, from the name of the MVP to the resources they'll use and key features. They'll also be asked how they'll gather customer feedback. When a team submits its MVP, you'll have an easy integrated rubric to provide feedback. You can also use this rubric to share with other reviewers or potential customers. Students can't move on in the simulator until they receive feedback from at least one reviewer, but they're not limited to only one MVP. The third phase of the simulator, the Kickstart Canvas, is the most complex section. Each team will be asked to think deeply about what their venture would look like, from a vision and impact statement to sales and operations models. Again, each part of the Kickstart Canvas is explained in more detail in the handbook. Students will submit their finished canvas, and they'll need more feedback before they can move on. The final phase of the simulator helps you coach your students through the process of creating a pitch deck. Students are given a simple 10-slide outline for explaining their venture, which will be presented to you for feedback. Once a team has submitted its pitch, they'll reach this page, the end of the process. However, they will be able to go back to the overview page and revisit any step in the Startup Simulator. This concludes our introduction to the Startup Sim. Please contact us with any questions.